Yo, what's going on, people? I'm DJ Sketch, and I'm actually back with the 100th video on the channel. Thank you so much for you guys' continued support. I appreciate each and every one of you. We're gonna actually do a really kind of mediocre game review today. As if you can tell by the title already, it's called Juarez. It's actually, funny enough, I think I found a game that's worse than Call of Duty, funny enough. And let me get my notes here. And the even funnier thing about this one is that they share a lot of the same title, at least in theory. Call of Juarez, the Cartel, for those who aren't familiar with this game, is a game that was first based in the Wild Wild West in Mexico. And this one, the Cartel kind of throws the series forward into the modern day, into 21st century Los Angeles, and towards the end we go into Mexico, which is kind of where the game starts to pick up, but also where a lot of the shortcomings are very, very apparent, if you catch my drift, you know what I mean? And basically in this one you assume the role of three semi-crooked officers, one being a distant relative of the main character of the first games, which I have not played, unfortunately, because Bound in Blood and the original Call of Juarez, I have not played those, unfortunately. This is my first foray into this little series, which, it's got some mixed results, but it's alright. And basically in this, you have your three. I mean, you can be a dirty cop if you want to, you can be a clean cop if you want to, but they all have some kind of preoccupation aside from the case. Like, there's one, the character Eddie, that's constantly ganking shit from the scene. There's the other one that's the informant, and then there's the other one that's like just blatantly putting people in danger just to keep his own ass safe. But again, I've already kind of spoiled too much about this. That's if you even want to play this one. But this one, ultimately, they all play the same. They have different trait sets, like one can reload fast, one can dual wield, yada yada yada. It's all the same kind of shit you've seen before. And ultimately they all kind of play the same because not all characters can dual wield, but they can all carry the same weapons, so it doesn't really make that whole much of a difference. And one of the main things that's a problem with this game is the frame rate. Like, the frame rate will just drop on you out of nowhere, especially when you're like in the middle of like a heated scene. And also the environments themselves, like at times they'll get really, really blurry, like kind of like if you had like the blur effect on Grand Theft Auto Vice City turned all the way up or turned on. You have motion blur like that, but also that it's just like it just gets foggy, which it does it from time to time. It's like mostly in the beginning. You got some pretty much all the action oriented scenes. You're gonna see some pretty serious frame rate drops, and that ain't really a good look. But it rights itself at some point. But then that's where the other things come in, which is the texture pop-ins, which you're gonna see also quite a bit, along with some, to put it nicely, subpar animations on the characters' parts and the NPCs, and even see some recycled NPCs as well, which is something you'll see later on in the game if you get that far into it. And these things, you know, all together, you got a recipe for a bad time if you want to have that. That's unless you're taking the game with a grain of salt, which I would highly suggest. And however, you know, there was some good in this. Like, it's not all bad. Like, the shooting is actually kind of okay. There's a lot of guns to use. Some of them are a bit busted because, like, the shotguns and snipers, really, you're gonna use a sniper rifle once in the game, literally just once, unless you put it in your loadout yourself. And shotguns, forget about it. Like, the range on them it's fucking garbage. And the other bad thing is too is that submachine gun and rifle ammo share the same type, so if you have both of them in your loadout, the ammo is going to be consumed on both, regardless of which one you're using. So I wasn't really feeling that a whole lot. But even still, that's something you can change if you want to, which is kind of a glaring issue. But even still, also the missions themselves, kind of samey, dog. Like, kind of samey. Like, literally you're going to have one, if not all of three things that happen. You're going to shoot a bunch of people, and or interrogate a bunch of people. You're going to drive around a bunch, where you're probably going to get shot at, and you can't, I'll get to that part in a second, I almost spoiled it for you. And thirdly, you're going to have pretty much like a Call of Duty-esque, like, breach and clear kind of scene. There's literally one every fucking level. So that, it's mad copy and paste. So the fact that you're doing that with 3 characters would essentially be 3 campaigns. If you really want to do that, I say just once is enough. That's again, if you get that far. Load times aren't terrible, but at the same time they're kind of hidden between like the little fake newscasting at the beginning, kind of similar to Battlefield Hardline, which I can kind of appreciate. But the main thing that like really got me about this game that like is kind of shitty is that this game is obviously geared towards being co-op, which you can see because every time you start a mission, it's a lobby basically. If you go ahead and just do this by yourself, which is what I did, the NPCs, one, they criticize every fucking thing you do, and also on these driving sections where you're getting shot at while driving, you can't shoot. So that's already like it adds a little bit of an unwarranted set like difficulty level, but also it's just fucking frustrating because you can't do shit and you're just getting filled full of holes. And depending on if you make it to the checkpoint or not, like sometimes you can't get killed while you're behind the wheel of the whip, and that's shitty. But again, this is one of those things that threw people off back in 2011 when it came out, and this is 2017 now, so 6 years have gone by. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's far from being great too. And basically, it's kind of like a really unforgiving game because like, you're gonna hear a lot of 4-letter words, a lot of 6-letter words, even some 7-letter words, which I actually hadn't heard in a video game until this one, funny enough. But for everything this game does wrong, there are a couple things it does right. A couple anyway. So if you want to chuck through it like I did, go for it, bro. Honestly, it's not that bad. So again, thank you guys so much for this one. It's a little bit different, but also it's the 100th video, so I kind of want to do something special for y'all. So again, thank you so much for checking out the channel. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for checking out this 100th video. Woo, confetti. And I will see you on the next one. It'll be a good one, I promise. See ya.